So, welcome everyone to today's event. It's nice to see some familiar faces. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the part of the world. So, welcome to today's event agenda. So, we will have an introduction to SAST on today's event. We will have the introduction to the course labs and a small wrap-up. So DevSecOps Academy, for the people who are already familiar and for the people who are not yet, who are just in, our aim is to make you hands-on in secure DevOps areas as soon and effectively as possible. So we see that nowadays, there is a lot going on, and hands-on skills are really important to make sure that you implement the right security aspects in your DevOps transformation. We try to make our courses concise to fit busy agendas. So the minimum amount of theory and is there for you to get started applying really hands-on the concepts and the tool in the hands-on labs. So it's all about the hands-on aspect because we believe that theory is there to get you started, but once you really start implementing different aspects, you will get to know the pitfalls. What we deem as really important for our courses is that they are community-powered courses from experts all over the world. And we have a fellow program in place that basically allows people to contribute and to create courses together with us. So that's the three important aspects of the DevSecOps Academy platform. For today, today is the 9th of August, we have the kickoff for this static analysis using patterns course and of course the SAST category. We will start today at 4 o'clock CET, and then you will have 72 hours to complete the course together with the hands-on lab. And then on the 12th of August, we have a wrap-up session where we basically talk about, okay, what did you like about the course? What didn't you like? How did you experience the platforms, and what are the things that we can improve? Once you complete the hands-on lab, you will be awarded with a practitioner certificate. It will mention exactly the date when you passed it. It will mention what you actually did, and it will have also the signature of the lab owner, Mauricio, that's also in this call. We have feedback available, support available. There is, I will show that later on in the event, in the webinar. There is a TDO support option where basically we will have live support available for you between 9 and 5 CET on weekdays. And there will also be a survey at the end of the hands-on labs where you can provide feedback with some more questions. So who are we? So my name is Dominic de Smit. I'm the CEO of DevSecOps Academy and our fellow company, consultancy company, Arido. My background is in software engineering and management and cybersecurity. I've helped large organizations with their security programs and with their security awareness. And currently, I'm building out the next generation DevSecOps hands-on skill building platform with the rest of the DevSecOps Academy team. So, Mauricio.
Hey, so I'm Mauricio. I am a DevSecOps Academy fellow. I'm currently also an ICT and cybersecurity student. And as of right now, I'm really focusing on the pen testing, offensive security side of things. So that was my little introduction.
Thanks, Mauricio. So today, Mauricio is going to introduce the SAST topic, and SAST stands for Static Application Security Testing. And as you can see here in the picture, there are many different areas in DevSecOps. And today, we are going to specifically dive into the category of SAST, and Mauricio knows all about that. So, Mauricio.
Yes. Okay, so what is SAST? SAST stands for Static Application Security Testing. And basically, it's just a methodology in which we use different tools to test the application source code for vulnerabilities. The benefit of using SAST is that you can catch vulnerabilities very early on in the development. An example of a way in which SAST could be implemented is, for example, let's say you're working at a company and all the source code of your website, for example, gets pushed to GitLab. You could create a GitLab pipeline with this SAST tool so that every time new source code gets pushed, it gets checked, and it either passes that check and gets pushed, or it fails the check, and then you have to fix the vulnerabilities that the SAST tool found. So by doing this, we minimize the risk of pushing this vulnerable code, which could cause problems later on. So next slide, please. So in this course, we will be focusing on static code analysis using the tool Semgrep. Semgrep uses user-provided patterns or rules to find vulnerable code or code that does not comply with the best practices. If any of you are familiar with the command line tool grep, you can kind of compare it with Semgrep. It has a relatively easy and simple way of working. Basically, as you can see in the image, you just basically have to give it a pattern or a list of patterns, and then Semgrep uses those to check your code. So the most important part is having reliable patterns to use. These patterns can be written by you, the user, or you can use ready-made pattern lists that are available on the Semgrep website that have been made by other users. In the course, you'll learn both these options. So you'll learn how to write your own patterns and also how to use the already made pattern lists on the Semgrep website. So next slide, please. So why would we use Semgrep? Well, as I said, Semgrep, it's a vulnerability scanner, but you can also kind of use it as a way to make sure that all the code is being written with its best practice. Since it's so highly customizable, you could really check for anything that you'd want. This means that, yeah, it not only can find vulnerabilities, but also kind of work as a sort of barrier for new developers. For example, let's say you're working at a company, like I said, and the company is getting a lot of new junior developers, which not always focus on the best practices of code. So you could use Semgrep in this case in your GitLab pipeline to make sure that all the code that's being pushed by these junior devs are actually secure and don't cause big problems later on. So yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so the biggest challenge, the main challenge when working with Semgrep is that the checks are only as good as the patterns that you give it. So if your patterns aren't really that good, then you won't find anything. Luckily, Semgrep provides us with patterns already made by other more maybe sometimes skilled users than us. So by doing this, we can check for a large amount of vulnerabilities, or we can focus specifically on, for example, on this slide, SQL injection. And the more patterns you use to check for a certain vulnerability, the more likely you are to actually find something. So that's why it's recommended to use multiple pattern lists or multiple patterns to find that same type of vulnerability you're trying to find. And furthermore, as you can see on the images of the slide, Semgrep works with a lot of different programming languages. So for example, for the SQL injection pattern list, you can see that it works for Go, Ruby, Python, Java, and JavaScript. So you can really customize your checks however you want. Yeah, next slide, please. Are there any questions up until now about Semgrep?
And if you want to ask a question, we can also unmute you. Maybe, Mauricio, I have one question, because Semgrep is totally open source, right?
Yes,
so
it's also
free. You don't have to pay for any rules or any amount of scans or lines of code that you run, right?
No. No, it's completely free, open source, and you can run as many scans as you want and customize them however you want. So it's really nice.
And would you say that there is a lot of extra scripting required, or is it quite easy?
No, it's fairly easy. And in the course, you'll learn the basics, which make all of the patterns. So if you're able to understand those, you can make any pattern that you'd want and really get the hang of it. It's fairly easy.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So does anyone else have any questions around Semgrep? Because of course you will be working with Semgrep in the hands-on lab in the course, but maybe up until now there are some questions or someone has something specific they want to ask.
How do we deal with false positives? Well, with false positives, generally you'd have to check and make sure that they're actually false positives.
Yeah, maybe the question is also around, is there maybe a way to exclude certain rules or
you
certain
can,
parts of the code?
Yes, you can give it, let's say, a specific file that you want to check, or you can give it a whole directory. You could also kind of silence some let's say vulnerabilities. Let's say if you know for sure that this SQL injection is a false positive, you can actually just mute that that result, I guess you could say, and then it doesn't return anything.
And it doesn't return any time in the future for other application scans as well, right?
You have to specify that when you run the scan. So it's kind of like a command that you run, but you have to specify this vulnerability code, or don't return that because it's a false positive.
Because the issue of the risk that you could run is if you say exclude something globally,
yeah,
and for other pieces of code it might not be a false positive, right? So that's usually not. Yeah,
that's the issue when you kind of mute certain vulnerabilities.
But it is possible, right? You can
yeah, it is possible.
Okay, yeah. But usually, generally, we would not advise that because, yeah, I mean, false positives are really specific to the code. So you wouldn't generally not globally exclude something because in the next scan it might not be a false positive. Okay, any other questions for now? No? Okay, then we can slowly continue and we will have some time afterwards for questions. Make sure that in the meantime, if you didn't register yet, there will, in the chat, there will be a link for you to register on the platform so you can get access to the course after this session. Let's go to the next slide.
Yes, so the course exercises. So what would be the assignments that you'll be doing? First of all, you'll be implementing the Semgrep check within the GitHub pipeline. Then you will be writing some Semgrep patterns yourself and use them to match certain code blocks within a Python file. Once you've done that, you will use community-made pattern lists to scan a vulnerable Java web application. Once you've done that and you found your vulnerabilities, you have to fix these and rerun the scan to make sure that all the issues have been resolved. And by the end of the course, you should have a pretty good understanding of how to implement Semgrep and how to write and use the patterns. So that's basically what you'll be doing.
Okay, thanks, Mauricio, for this introduction. So let's quickly go over to the platform for the interesting side. So I hope you can all still see my screen. So here currently what I'm displaying is the overview when you get access to the course. So like we already mentioned, there are two parts of the course. There's the preparation lab and the hands-on lab. So the preparation lab on the left needs to be completed first before you can start with the hands-on lab. So if we have a look at the preparation lab, you see that there are certain steps available for you to basically read on in some more detail with some more links about Semgrep, about SAST, And at the end, if you feel comfortable, following the preparation lab, there will be a quiz that you can take. So the quiz will have a few questions, that challenge you if you understood the preparation correctly. And once you have finished that, you can continue on the hands-on lab. So the hands-on lab, if we press on start. So I already started this hands-on lab a few minutes before we started with this event. You will see here in the right corner that there is a timer running. So currently the time restriction for the hands-on lab is 3 hours maximum. So that doesn't mean you will need 3 hours, but you will need to finish the hands-on lab within 3 hours. You can also see here on the top right that there are also hints. So if you want to stay on the level advanced, you only have 2 hints. If you take more hints, then you will drop in level. And like with the preparation lab, you can see here that there are certain exercises and certain steps that you need to complete. So like Mauricio was already mentioning, there are a few integrations that you will be doing. You will be writing rules, and this is how you will get really hands-on familiar, with SAST and with Semgrep. And at the end, if you have, walked through all of the exercises and the steps, and you have checked that you did it correctly, there will be a check results button at the end of the hands-on lab. And then when you press this button, you can only press it once. It is going to, mark your lab as, to be reviewed, and we are going to review your lab. So as you can see here, there is automated checking available. So once you basically are doing the hands-on lab and you go to the next step, there will be a system, as you can see here, that's basically checking if you are doing the right things, if you're on the right track. So make sure that the automated checking doesn't mention that you're doing something wrong. If you are 110% sure that you did it correctly, then you can continue, but be aware that the reviewing may take then a little bit longer. So like I mentioned, on the right side, you see here a chat with us option. So there will be support available, of course, not to give you all the answers to the hands-on lab, but if you get stuck somewhere or if you have questions around some of the aspects, we are there, and our support department is there to help you out. So make sure you use that option if you get stuck. Like I mentioned, 3 hours maximum. So don't start the hands-on lab and go grocery shopping, because then your hands-on lab will be destroyed after 3 hours. And like I said, you don't need to fill in the 3 hours. Maybe you only need 1 hour, but make sure that you have some focus. Okay, let's go quickly back to the presentation again. So, like I already mentioned, please register on the platform for the course. For some of you, you might have registered on LinkedIn, but this is in this way we will not be able to give you access. So please follow this link and go to the platform and register there, so we can give you access to the course after this event. So let's start it again from the beginning, but let's quickly go through it to the end. So like I mentioned, this is the link, register, and we hope you will have lots of fun doing the course, doing the hands-on lab. We hope the experience will be good for you to, to really try to implement these rules, try to implement Semgrep, and, get started with SAST in a hands-on way. So up until now, are there any questions from anyone?
Hi, Dominic.
Hi.
Yeah. So not specifically for this course as such, but because I've taken quite a few courses that you guys have offered from the academy, right? But I would say the last, the one that was conducted with Conductor, right? The lab was really unstable. Okay, so probably that is one feedback that I will give So even after completing the steps, the validations, when you do a next, right, it says you have not completed. Some triggers don't work. The GitLab machines, the virtual machine, right, probably which gets spin up, right. So that was inconsistent. It was getting disconnected quite often. Okay, so that's
Okay.
a generic feedback probably. Okay, I didn't have a problem in any other earlier courses, but especially with the last module that I faced that issue.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Abhishek. Yeah. So sometimes we might have some issues because we use certain tools, we use certain environments, and we need to make sure that they are stable enough. But unfortunately, sometimes there are things that we cannot prevent. So some time ago, we, for example, also had the issue with Cloudflare. Right. So Cloudflare went down, and then we are really also impacted by that. And unfortunately, there are certain things that we cannot do then. But I hope that you contacted us via the support or fill in the feedback form, and then if these problems get resolved, then we will assign, of course, and give you again time to complete the lab. If there were any issues.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the feedback, Abhishek.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would also put it on the similar lines. So yesterday, I tried to complete that course for orchestration, and a lot of times I made sure twice or thrice that my steps were correct, but yeah, still that checking pop-up was still coming, and then some of the vulnerabilities which were found in SCA were not pushed to GitLab. So yeah, I mean. That was the issue, but I still submitted the labs, but yeah, I'm yet to see the result, what has come.
Yeah, so for the people who have problems struggling with the lab, we will also always offer extra time if it's on our side, and there are certain things that can go wrong. Currently, we are still making sure that the platform is as perfect as possible, but yeah, there can always be some cases where there are some bugs or some things are not going completely correct. So that's where we also need your help to improve it. But yeah, like I mentioned, we will offer you maybe also another course, or extend the lab time so you can do it again, and we will of course see what the issues are with with the hands-on lab. And regarding the automated checking system, so this is something that we are implementing also from the feedback that we got from the community, because getting feedback while you're doing a hands-on lab is extremely important, but it's also really sometimes difficult. It can be difficult to check. So this automated checking is more of a guardrail system, I would say, and usually I would say it goes for 90% correctly. But it can also be the case that it sometimes doesn't register something correctly, and then we will do a manual review. So it doesn't mean that when the automated checking fails that you failed the lab or the course, right? It just means that the reviewing will take a little bit longer. But yeah, this is exactly why we are doing these events and letting you test out these courses, so we can make sure that we make it as perfect as possible.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. So otherwise, it is really good and different type of trainings, I could say, because it was my first time I took that lab yesterday, and I felt it's really innovative to see and do that actual hands-on than just looking at the videos. So that way, it is really good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your feedback, and we will make sure that we improve the automated checking and also look at the stability of the labs to make sure that we offer a good experience to the users. Anything else to add? Any other questions for now? Maybe for our SAST expert Mauricio. And if there are no other questions, then anyways, I would already say, again, we hope you will have lots of fun. The lab should be stable. So I think that everything will be fine. And we hope that, you get a good learning experience out of this, and that you can also take some of the learnings, from the hands-on lab in your daily work, or maybe even in your next project that's considering SAST, and you have some hands-on experience implementing and automating it.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you very much for joining.
Oh, probably one last question on
Yes.
this particular lab, and so just wanted to know Semgrep, like probably Mauricio can probably give a little more insight. So how active is the community around Semgrep? Because we also have GitHub's own CodeQL, right? So which is also community driven, right? So just wanted to understand how active are the community driven vulnerability queries implementations for Semgrep?
Well, they're fairly active. If you go on the Semgrep webpage, you could see that there's new patterns coming in. Sometimes they even update previous patterns so that commands that are already using those patterns can get those updated results. But I'd say that they're fairly active.
And it's a project that started from Facebook. It's a project that started from Facebook, and I would say that there is a lot of attention and community support for Semgrep, because like Mauricio already explained, it's really lightweight, it's easy to use, and it's really transparent, right? So for some of the services, like maybe GitHub uses, you don't always have a lot of flexibility, or you don't really know how they implemented it. But I think that Semgrep offers a lot of this flexibility.
Yeah. And you can contribute back to, so if you write some queries, you can contribute it back to the community, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You can even see who are the ones that wrote the patterns that you're going to use online. So
okay.
So
okay. Well, if there are no other questions, then good luck, everyone, and we hope to see you at the wrap-up session. Where we already heard some feedback about the unstable lab. We would like to hopefully see you back there, so we can get some more feedback on how you like this lab, if you face similar issues or if it went better. And we hope to discuss there how you like the course, and if you get any new learnings out of that. So thank you very much for joining this event, this kickoff session, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening, morning, or afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.